Good afternoon. Human rights, pardon me. Human rights are everyone's birthright. And the Republican conservative idol, your icon, Ronald Reagan, said government's first duty is to protect the people, not run their lives. Protecting the rights of people has always been the prime duty and responsibility, indeed the single purpose of government. Reagan said the only excuse for even existing. You swear to the Republican Party oath to extend human rights throughout the world. Even the extremists who claim they are the true patriots, the Tea Party, say we support personal freedom so all Americans can live life the way they want. We are asking you to end the worst part of discrimination, the fear of it, and allow us to share America's promise to simply pursue happiness. Stop the excuses. Tear down the facades. You say we already included the law, but you are alone. Alone! The county attorney disagrees. Every other legal mind disagrees. You have to be thoroughly biased to deny there is at the very least a difference of opinion concerning our inclusion in Nassau's law. In every civilized country, one thing is a certainty: laws cannot contain uncertainty. The legal scholar Gustav Radbruch regarded the three fundamental pillars of law to be a triad of justice, utility, and certainty. Legal certainty is a recognized requirement of law in the United States and throughout the civilized world. Thus, when a law like our Human Rights Commission law is uncertain and subject to opinion, it always demands clarification. That's why legislator Jacobs introduced the Gender Clarification Law. Hear us. Keep your word, honor your pledges, exercise your duty, fulfill your responsibility, protect our human rights, affirm our American birthright, end the uncertainty of our inclusion in the law, and simply put, do the job you swore to do. Uphold the principles of your party, your office, your country, and pass the Gender Clarification Amendment. Thank you for listening. Those of you who were listening.
I think it's important to have on record in the county that about 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 now, not sure, North Hempstead bipartisan board passed the gender clarification bill. And guess what? The next morning, North Hempstead was still standing. And you know what? I think they were standing a little taller than they were before the passage of that bill. Because they recognized, just like many of us on this board recognize, that a human rights bill that we thought was perfect has an imperfection, and everyone has a right to a choice in their life, but no one has a right to be prejudiced against or have people scorn at them or whatever. We have an opportunity here to do a very simple thing. Add a small sentence clarifying what gender is, and it's embarrassing, it's horrifying, it's something that I just can't understand, and perhaps everybody who has a problem with this should speak to their people in North Hempstead and see how beautifully that went without any problem like this. Joanne, I am so sorry that it's 5 years. But you know what? Perseverance does pay off sometimes. And you saw one thing happen, and my gut feeling tells me you're going to see it happen here too. Well, it should be corrected.
Apparently, the council people in North Hempstead understood that human rights are not a partisan issue. Human rights are a constitutional issue and American right. And it's your duty to protect our human rights. And you're derelict in that duty, I'm sorry to say.
But let me say something on behalf of the legislature. When I was presiding officer and that human rights bill was passed, we actually believed that everything was covered and everybody was covered. If I had the slightest idea that we were leaving out any group of people by omission of a gender explanation, it never would have gone, it would have passed anyway. We just would have put it in there, that's all. But it just didn't happen. So the fact that one of the authors of it and the presiding officer at the time is admitting it was a flaw and let's fix it, I can tell you that I agree with you. I mean, we certainly think it's a great law that we passed, but obviously not perfect. And we have a chance now to make it perfect.
Yes, I don't know why we make it a political partisan issue.
It shouldn't be. I don't understand
it. It's
it
America.
either. I don't understand it either. That's what we're all about in America, to be inclusive.
Thank you.
Kathy Gordon?
My name is Dr. Kathy Borden. I'm a licensed psychologist and serve as professor and chair of the Department of Clinical Psychology at Antioch University. I grew up in Nassau County, and although I do not live here right now, I have family and friends who do. I am here today to ask you to do the right and just thing by modifying your human rights law to include equality and civil rights protections for your neighbors who are transgender. Professional organizations, including the American Medical Association, the American Psychological Association, and many others, all agree that they need to specifically support transgender rights and mention people who are transgender and the demographic variable of gender identity as needing to be specifically named as protected categories in issues of human and civil rights. Multiple municipalities, including, as we just heard, North Hempstead and the counties surrounding Nassau County, have determined that there is a need to specifically mention gender identity in their civil rights laws. Your own county legal office has concurred that gender identity is not specifically protected in your law, and it is not unambiguously covered. These professionals all agree, and the preponderance of evidence indicates that specifically mentioning this group is necessary to guarantee equal rights under the law. I am not here today to ask you to naively go along with the crowd. Rather, I ask you to be open to learning, to recognize that this board is isolated in its disagreement with the wisdom, experience, and expertise of professionals and elected officials like yourselves all around the country. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and assume that your inaction is not driven by your own prejudice or hatred toward this group of people. So perhaps fear is driving your lack of action. Perhaps you worry that some voters and even your own political party won't like this, and that you will somehow limit your future career or political opportunities by treating as equals a group that makes some people uncomfortable. I argue that you have been entrusted with your office to represent all people, even those you may not fully understand. And so I urge you to put this amendment up for a vote, really consider it, and act quickly to fulfill the duties of your office. Stand up and tell your constituents and your party, this may make you uncomfortable, but it is the right thing to do. Stand up and say, my values include protecting the rights of all individuals and all groups in Nassau County. Stand up and point out that if one group is treated unfairly, we are all at risk of being treated unfairly. No one is safe. Stand up for the core values of the United States and our Constitution, and for your own values and caring that motivated you to run for office in the first place. Who can argue with this? Don't be afraid. Be courageous. Be wise. Be fair. And be leaders. Show that you care about all of your constituents. With your positive action on this amendment, you can actually help people while harming no one. What an amazing opportunity you have. Stand up for justice, fairness, and equality. Put this up for a vote and amend your civil rights laws to include all people, no matter what clothing they wear or what gender they feel like or identify with deep inside. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bob Salva?